Welcome to this episode of Al's Joint. Today we'll be discussing the big diversion, the tariff wars, and this administration's attempt to pull a hokey doke. So let's take the gloves off and let's get at it. So my brothers and sisters, what this administration is trying to do is keep us focused on tariffs just to distract us as they siphon money out of every agency that benefits the American people. Democrats, Republicans, independents, we're all getting robbed. This is no longer a political issue. This is criminal. Let me give you some numbers. The wealthiest 8% of Americans have $98 trillion worth of wealth, while the remaining 313 million Americans are left to divvy up what's left. So you get a better idea of why this administration needs so much money to give tax cuts to their billionaire friends. They started that by gutting Social Security. They can do this in a number of ways. They started by slashing tens of thousands of jobs and then demanding that the recipients go into the office for face-to-face discussions only. No more phone calls, no more internet connections, but direct face-to-face conversations. So your grandmother, your grandfather, your mother, your father, they have to get on public transportation, go down to the Social Security office, stand in line for hours to talk to somebody about a glitch that's not even their fault. What does that mean for you? If you have a question about your payment being late, you live paycheck to paycheck, and your Social Security payment is late, you have to get on public transportation, go down to the Social Security office, and stand in line for hours for them to tell you that they made a mistake. When you're signing up for Social Security, you can no longer register online and set an appointment. You got to go down to the office, take a number, and wait hours in line just to begin the process to get the money that you worked your whole life for. That, my friend, that, my fellow Americans, is criminal. To all you MAGA, Trump, Musk supporters, I have an idea. I want the Republican politicians to waive their Social Security benefits so that they can go to support the Trump tax cuts for his billionaire friends. I want all you MAGA Trump supporters, all the folks in the cult, get online right now. Start a petition. Let the government know that you as an individual will give up part of your Social Security payments for life to support the tax cuts for the billionaires and the rich. Prove me wrong. Right now, I just think you're a bunch of followers and cult members. But if you really truly believe what President Musk and Vice President Trump is doing, show it. Show them that you're willing to give up your Social Security payments for billionaires and the rich. Other than that, we have to stop all this bullshit. The Republicans, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, are set to fire 80,000 employees from the Department of Veteran Affairs. This is not only going to impact care and benefits, but how quickly our veterans can be seen. In addition to that, the majority of the folks who work in the Veteran Affairs Department are veterans themselves. So not only are they losing benefits, but they're losing their jobs. We have rallies in New Jersey, in Iowa, in New York, in Pennsylvania, and it goes on and on. But for some reason, the Republicans think that it's okay. They continue to justify this administration's attack on our veterans. Now listen to this character here.
Let's say Social Security didn't send out their checks this month. My mother-in-law, who's 94, she wouldn't call and complain. She just wouldn't. She'd think something got messed up, and she'll get it next month. A fraudster always makes the loudest noise, screaming, yelling, and complaining. And all the guys who did PayPal, like Elon knows this by heart, right? Anybody who's been in the payment system and the process system knows the easiest way to find the fraudster is to stop payments and listen.
Yeah.
Because whoever screams is the one stealing.
Commerce Secretary Lutnick, you're an idiot. Of course your 94-year-old mother-in-law wouldn't complain. You're a freaking billionaire. Where's the compassion for the seniors? What about the folks who live paycheck to paycheck and their son-in-law is not a billionaire or a millionaire? What about them? This is getting out of, this is crazy. This is supposed to be the United States of America, where we show compassion, where we look out for our elderly. So this administration has turned its sights on destroying the Department of Education. For those who don't know, the Department of Education was formed in 1979 under then President Jimmy Carter. There were some remnants of the Department of Education prior to that, but none that was funded at that level with a specific goal or with specific goals in mind. They were formed to help oversee a national education policy, to administer federal assistance to the states, to help with student aid, student loans, and more importantly, to enforce civil rights so that women and girls and minorities all were treated equal and got the same education as white males. We have to fight back. We have to dig in, folks. There was a reason this department was formed. If you go back and look at the numbers and you see how the poorer states suffered in education, how minorities, how women were treated as second-class students, you understand why this department was so important. If you look at all the millions of students who benefited from student aid and student loans to be able to get a better education, the United States is in the top 15 countries in the world for education. Prior to 1979, we were down near 30. So the Department of Education has worked. It's worked with equality and consistency. And we have to stop this right now. Social Security, the Department of Education, the Department of Veteran Affairs, they're coming after us, folks, and we have to stand up and fight back.
Mr. President, your reaction to the story in The Atlantic that said that some of your top cabinet officials and aides had been discussing very sensitive material through Signal and included an Atlantic reporter for that. What is your response to that?
I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of The Atlantic. To me, it's a magazine that's going out of business. I think it's not much of a magazine, but I know nothing about it. You're saying that they had what?
They were using Signal to coordinate on sensitive materials and
having to do with what? Having to do with what? What were they talking about?
With the Houthis.
The Houthis? You mean the attack on the Houthis? Well, it couldn't have been very effective because the attack was very effective. I can tell you that. I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it for the first time. Anybody else?
You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that.
I'm going to be responsible here and not disclose the things that I read and saw. I will describe them to you. The specific time of a future attack, specific targets, including human targets, meant to be killed in that attack, weapons systems, even weather reports, that the government is I don't know why Hexet was sharing it with everybody. I mean, the precise detail, and then a long section on sequencing. This is going to happen, then that is going to happen. After that happens, this happens, then that happens, and then we go and find out if it worked. I mean, he can say that it wasn't a war plan, but it was a minute by minute accounting of what was about to happen, organized by CENTCOM, Central Command, which is the military oversight group of the Middle East, the broader Middle East. This is their plan, and he was taking their plan and sharing it with a bunch of civilian leaders. It's interesting because as I'm reading it at 11:44 a.m. on Saturday morning, the 15th, seeing that the Houthis are not going to know about this for another couple of hours.
And you know about it.
Well, and I know about it, and I'm thinking to myself, I mean, honestly, I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm glad that Mike Waltz didn't invite a Houthi into the group or a Russian spy or an adversary of the United States. But put that aside. I'm reading this and I'm wondering, not only why am I reading this, but why would the Secretary of the Treasury need to know the precise attack sequence of this upcoming operation? Again, I don't want to talk about weapon systems, packages, targets in any specificity because, you know, I'm trying to be, I want to be a responsible person, and I'm more interested in the decision making anyway than I am in the actual technical details of it. But the whole thing is just very flummoxing to me because I haven't seen this kind of unserious behavior before. And, you know, and the Secretary of Defense, all due respect, in that presentation seems like a person who's unserious and is trying to deflect from the fact that he participated in a conversation on an unclassified commercial messaging app that he probably shouldn't have participated in.
President Putin's disrespecting you by attacking Ukraine when you're trying to make peace there? Is President Putin disrespecting you by attacking Ukraine when you're trying to make peace there?
What did he do?
Well, he's attacking Ukraine.
Is he disrespecting me?
Yeah.
Who are you with?
I'm Michael Burnbaum, Washington Post.
You lost a lot of credibility.
Whoa, folks, wow. I don't know what to say after watching those videos. You got the Defense Secretary, Petey Hegseth, who leaked war plans to reporters. Who knows who else he leaked them to? Who knows who else was on that thread that's not saying anything? And then you have the orange clown, who's definitely headed down the dementia trail, who doesn't have a clue what's going on in this country, let alone his administration. So you elected an old, unintelligent individual into one of the highest offices in the world. What does that say about you MAGA cult nuts? And you continue to support this. If you elect a clown to be king, you don't have a kingdom, you have a circus. Remember that.
This episode of Al's Joint is brought to you by Jackpack.
I want to thank you for joining me on my podcast, Al's Joint. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And join me next Friday where we take the gloves off and we get at it.